Good morning, everybody. We are talking today about the Adidas SL20. And I know what you're thinking. The SL20, really, John? This shoe is a couple years old already. But if you've been following this channel at all for any amount of time, you know that I don't go out and buy the newest shoes. I'm too cheap for that. So I'm just a budget guy who likes to buy budget shoes. So I'll wait for a deal, or maybe even wait until a model is a year old or 2 years old before picking it up. I have some patience. Sometimes it can be difficult. I've heard so many good things about the SL20. I've got a few channels that I watch, like Ed Bud, Mark is running with Mark rather, sorry. And a few others that have talked about the SL20, talked about this shoe, and have said great things about it. And I finally picked up a pair. They were on clearance at an online store here in Canada, and I picked one up for, I forget the exact price, but something like 70 Canadian, which is a great deal. So that's like 50 US, 53 US, something like that. So in any case, picked them up and hadn't run in them until yesterday. So I did the local 5K. Now, guys, I haven't been running a whole lot lately. Certainly haven't been racing a whole lot lately. I did that 10K a couple weeks ago. It was tough. 5Ks are always hard, but you couple that with really not running, and yeah, it can be pretty brutal. But how did the shoe hold up? That's the thing that we're talking about here today. Despite the fact that I'm completely out of shape and, can really comfortably say that I'm like 3 minutes off my personal best right now, 2.5 anyway, off my personal best right now in a 5K, it's still, I can't fault this shoe. I cannot fault the Adidas SL20. This is a beautiful shoe. Very light, this light strike foam. I mean, if you guys have heard about it or whatever, I mean, it's just, it is a very light shoe. It's got this Y-shaped torsion plate underneath here. I really did feel the effects of this. I was actually extremely impressed, but also surprised by how much I felt that when I was picking it up. So as always, I went out a little bit too fast. I mean, that's just bound to happen, right? It's a 5K. Of course I'm gonna go out too fast. Luckily or not luckily, I'm not really sure what's going on. This happened to me at the 10K a couple weeks ago as well. After my warm-up, readjusted my shoes, retied my laces and stuff like that. My right shoe again, and I can't say it was the fault of the shoe. I think I'm just stupid and not actually properly tying my shoes right before the race, because my right lace again came undone within 10 seconds of the race. But it was probably a blessing in disguise, just like what happened in the 10K a couple weeks ago, because I was going out too fast. I know I was. So I had to stop for a second, tie my shoe really tight, and just get back into it. I only lost like maybe 3 seconds. Like, it was a super quick detour. But looking at some of the data from my watch and stuff, I mean, I went from a 3:55 pace, which was too fast for me, 3:55 kilometer, that is, obviously not mile. But like, I haven't yet run a sub 20, so I can't be going out and running, less than a 4-minute kilometer to start the race. That's not the way to do it, especially when I'm not in shape. But anyway, got back under control and got back out there and just really comfortably settled in. So a sweet spot for me, which, when I'm in better shape, a nice kind of comfortable tempo pace, or more of a lactate pace, I guess, threshold pace, is right around that 420 kilometer. So what's that, like 7-minute mile? That's about a 7-minute mile pace. This shoe felt absolutely amazing at that pace. I was just like bounding off of this torsion plate and just feeling it, just like, wow, really settled in. Now, unfortunately, the entire 3rd kilometer of this 5K was a gradual uphill, and then actually not so gradual. It turned into trail after about a mile. That trail did narrow down to single track for a little bit of it, probably actually half of the trail section. And then when you get back out on the road, it was up this hill that was probably only like a 4 or 5% grade, but still, you know, you climb that for another couple hundred meters. Like, it was a really tough, all of the elevation gain basically in the entire 5K was in that third kilometer. And some of that on trail, which was not like super smooth, good trail. So, you know, it was tough. Like, I slowed down a lot on that third kilometer. But once we got turned around and we got back down, started coming back down the road, and then just a slight little detour, basically through like a gravel parking lot, essentially. I'm in a driveway in a parking lot area. It was only like 400 meters. And then getting back out on the road for that last kilometer and down a nice downhill straightaway to the finish line. I picked it up, even though I was really cooked at the time and, like I said, you know, completely out of shape. I was able to, once I rounded that last corner and saw the finish line about 500 meters away, really just pick it up in this thing and just gradually increase my pace from the probably, you know, 4.5 minute kilometer I was doing at the time, right down to, I think I crossed the line doing about a 3:15 pace. So, you know, like I felt really, really good about the finish. And what I realized is that the more you put into this shoe, the more you get back. I didn't have a whole lot to give yesterday because, like I said, just completely out of shape and had a hard time breathing as it was. But when I picked it up, I could really feel the power of this shoe. And I can see that my camera's shaking a little bit because I've got a cat in a basket right over there who's giving himself a bath. And so he's shaking the table. So I apologize for that. But in any case, this shoe, though, the more you put in, the more you get back. And I could just feel the power of this SL20 and of that torsion plate. Just really, I mean, you know, I was just picking it up, and thinking, wow, how am I continuing to go faster with this much ease? And I think it just says a lot about the shoe that, and you know, just being nice and light and the energy return you get, that even at the end of a 5K where I'm completely out of shape and unprepared for it, I'm still able to pick it up to, you know, basically a sprint pace for me, and hold it for a couple hundred meters and just get across that line with a really nice strong finish. To put it into perspective, I passed a girl with about 500 meters left and ended up beating her by 12 seconds. So that's how much I was able to pick it up. I mean, 12 seconds over 500 meters is a pretty significant lead to pick up when you're just passing somebody on the tail end of a 5K. So yeah, it was nice. So how will I use this shoe? I'm gonna use this shoe, you know what, on my warm up and even the little short cool down to the car afterwards, it wasn't uncomfortable to run at easier paces. Like my warm up was, you know, about a 5:20 kilometer or 8:30, something like that, mile, you know, pretty easy pace, just did a few strides and stuff. But I mean, overall, keeping it pretty easy just to sort of wake up the legs and the aerobic system. And, you know, I mean, I'm not going to go out and take it out on my easy run days or long run days, probably, unless I'm going to be picking up the pace a little bit. But I could. But I've got better shoes for that. I'm going to use this as a tempo day shoe, or a day where maybe I do have a long run, but it's going to be on the road. The grip, I mean, the Continental rubber, super grippy. It was fine on the trail. Actually, it probably performed better on the trail than some of the other shoes that I have that you would think would be better on the trail. But it's just not really what it's built for, or what I think I can get the most out of it doing. So if I've got a long run that I'm going to be sticking to mostly pavements, or maybe really well-groomed, fine, you know, trail, where I'm going to also be picking up the pace a little bit, maybe doing like a 3x5K in a long run or something, or a long run that is a progression run that maybe the last 5 to 8K is at an up-tempo pace, then yeah, maybe I'll use this. I think it's a great shoe that I think it's going to be very versatile for me. I don't think I'd run over a half marathon in it. I know there are people who would say they would run a marathon in this shoe. I don't think, for me personally, there's quite enough cushion there, quite enough, you know, to get me through the marathon. I think for faster runners, yeah, maybe, you know, people who are going to be doing it in like 3 hours, sure. For myself, who, if I trained really hard, maybe I'd get like a 340, 345 at this point. I don't think this is the shoe for me for a marathon, but yeah, in any case, just kind of wanted to give out some first impressions, first run kind of review of the SL20. If you've got a chance to pick this up, I mean, I'm glad that I waited to get it at a discount, but honestly, it's a shoe that even at regular price would be worth it. It's just that I'm super cheap. Not only super cheap, obviously I had other things going on, other responsibilities, bought a house this year, so was, you know, trying to like keep my spending under control for sure. But yeah, Adidas SL20, pick it up if you haven't already. There is a summer ready option, which I believe is the exact same thing, just maybe like a little bit more breathable or something, but I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between them. I think the build and everything is exactly the same, just maybe a slightly different upper. But in any case, grab yourself a pair of those, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.